guys want to follow Net for a warm up?
Okay, so clear up all the street. Everybody come on this side. Everybody come this side. You see what we do? Just follow me. Jesus. Just checking. What?
I was like 2 weeks and I was like, oh, it's nice that 3 months, the 3 months will be over. That's another 3
Welcome everybody. There will be a few people walking in late, so I'm just gonna get started now. Just because the first little bit is just gonna be a little bit of an icebreaker, get into warm up talking, so we can all engage in an amazing conversation here. Today's topic is going to be based around success, decisions, and rewards. And these are really interesting themes because they all kind of have to go with one another, where we decide our success and then we have to reward ourselves if we don't actually achieve certain successes, and how to actually create success for ourselves. And what does that mean? What does it really mean to be successful? Is it even a thing or not? And if it's just a mental construct in our head. But for the first little bit that we're going to do here, we're just going to do this little activity called a decision link. So I want you to find someone that you have never met before, and you're going to pair up with them, and you're just going to share a decision that you regret, and you are ones that you pride yourself on. That's kind of changed your life. So 2 decisions that you made in your life, one that you regret and one that was really amazing. And then we'll share with the group.
What if you have no regrets?
Well, then that's a really good thing. I mean, I don't believe in regrets, but it's like, which one was like a really stupid decision, basically. Because there could have been, if you look at it like that. But also, you just are an amazing, positive person, so that's another thing.
I try.
Hello, George. We're just getting started.
Cool.
Find us anywhere.
So may I say, I changed my position because of the AC, so it has nothing to do with anything.
Okay.
Just to make sure, because it's like blowing right in my back, and I didn't
Is it
want
more?
just to make sure it's not okay,
Not
you're
personal.
done.
Cool.
I was like, maybe I smell that.
No.
Somebody's on the feet.
Yeah, so, do you have any decisions that you can think of? No? Really? How would you like to go about it then?
I'll just know.
Just share 2 amazing decisions that's changed your life then.
Sure.
Yeah? If you don't want to think about a decision that you have that's like kind of just been a dumb one, then, well, because I know
I
I've
could
made.
think of embarrassing,
There you go.
but not regretful.
Yeah, no, it doesn't need to
Yeah.
be regretful, but like a decision that I made was like getting arrested technically, because the choices that I made in that moment led me to get arrested. So that's like,
Bad boy.
yeah. That's a decision.
Now we
that
need
I
to know
made.
this way. Look at his face. How can you
How can
arrest
you
him?
arrest
But do you
What
regret
did
it?
Huh?
Or do you regret it? Because you learn from it.
Oh
right?
no, I don't regret it at
A little
all.
bit of
Exactly,
murder,
that's,
you
so
know,
that's why it's hard to choose something
So
that you
casual,
regret.
like-
Because it was meant to happen
Yep.
to push you to the
Drug
place
dealer.
you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself what was the lesson
Um,
Right, there is a huge lesson behind it, but it was a decision that's like, it was a good decision for me, but at the same time, it was a decision that was really bad in that moment.
Yeah.
So that's like where I'm trying to get at. Yeah.
Yeah, just keep us guessing about what it is.
Yeah, just tell us. I don't know why you got arrested.
That's a story for another time.
Nobody's gonna report to the US, you know?
I want to tell you something, but I'm not going to tell you.
Exactly.
Okay, that'll be the decision that I tell you. That I'll explain if you really want to know later. But what we're gonna do here is just find someone you don't know, just pair up with them. If there is unmatched, I'll just pair with you. And just, yeah, explain those two decisions just kind of really briefly. Yeah? Cool.
Just explain the decision.
The two decisions. One that
Sorry about coming back.
I still can't play. I mean, I can get some friends try to learn something. I kind of feel that I want to Listen to me, I'm a new
It's like I'm sure you had some fun experience.
And I teach
Self-forgiveness. There are
But like video games with problems too, I didn't feel that when it's like, you know, something to mess with my mind, right there. And I get this last person, somebody was like, best decision of my life. No regret about it. My first like, I kind of know.
I never worked remote, so I always need to find a job. Always have to find a job where I am. I always get enough, so I never have savings. Like now when I travel, I have 5,000. I always go like and I just go. And here I came to Vietnam, so it's 200 euros. Then I have
Everyone done?
now I have two good jobs. Surrender yourself, surrender. Like, surrender to the universe. This book is
You guys done over here?
I use it, now I don't. Because every time I run to the country or I have just tiny so it's just like, and so when I'm more relaxed, more I let go, more I for example, in the before I came here, I used to have strong and very painful menstruations. Very painful. And I came here, I got my period, my breast, you know, sometimes your breast before you get your period. No, I just have to leave it. My body is really Are you from the Netherlands?
One thing I learned is that it's good. It's one of the best things. Financial.
Yeah, it makes more about
We're doing an icebreaker. So,
Just under the limit. I use 3 minutes by That's where I live. I live under the mountain. Under the mountain. On Marina, on the boat. It's very nice.
Very I can't really play.
That's a great car. That's probably a thinking like this right now. Sleeping right now.
I'm very
Arm just
like
tell me
yeah,
more.
Oh, I'm shopping.
Find something that you're truly passionate about. Once you find that, you don't need to switch it.
Before you go, you check
They say, I am ready now, change it. Be careful. One thing I learned in life. So if you have all those issues in your life, guys, we're trying to see but also the one that you do is to find the self-love and get control of your mind and the next one. Yes. So find what is the one that you can do right now. Awesome, you're fine. You're in the right place.
First, you can wrap up in like 2 minutes. Great. 1 minute.
Traveling changed my life because if I just would have traveled, I would see other cultures, I would have seen everything is normal. Serbia, if you're different, you need to go
The red light. Stop the red light.
You guys ready? Are we ready, guys?
All right. Yes, sir.
Cool.
Good.
So, yeah, decisions, right? We make a lot of decisions in our life, and sometimes it's easy to remember the hard ones, but not necessarily the ones that like we do on a daily basis or like a weekly or monthly basis. But the ones that change our life, those are the ones that are exceptional. For me, my decision was the bad one was the getting arrested.
I thought that was a good one.
No,
That led to you leaving the US and being here.
kind of. Kind of. But in the moment, it was really bad. So just, it was a DUI, so I was like smoking and driving. And then the good decision was deciding to stop working when I decided to start traveling, because I wanted to travel and work at the same time. But then I decided to stop traveling, or like stop working in the middle of travel, so that way I could actually focus on traveling and just being happy in my time where I was just putting so much pressure on myself to work, and so I just decided to just remove all that and just focus on having fun. And then Danielle's, hers was being in the army. That was a bad decision. The bad decision was being in the army, and then the good decision was going to Paris.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good decision.
Yeah, moving to Paris. So, if you guys we can just go in like a kind of loop or something. Just make it really brief, make it really quick. Don't necessarily go super deep into it, because there's some stuff that I want to dive into. Just kind of just open up conversation. So, which direction shall we go first? Eeny, meeny, miny, moe.
What do you, so we share our positive decisions which we think are positive and decisions which we took with that are negative, right?
Yeah.
So, well, I had, one decision which was positive at the time. It's actually hard to judge from this time, because if I had taken that decision that I thought it was positive, I think maybe it would have developed, and later on I would have thought that it's actually positive. I don't know. Well, the positive decision was that I quit job recently, like a month ago, and I think I spared some space for me to revisit to have a new perspective and look from the new perspective at my previous experience, at my past, and to live through some emotions, which I had. Sometimes regrets, sometimes pride, which I didn't live, which I didn't experience, which I didn't celebrate, something I won, something I gained and didn't celebrate. So this thing, and the negative decision was that like several times at my previous jobs, I didn't communicate my needs clearly enough, and I didn't stand for myself, protect maybe my point of view, my position. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
I don't want to talk.
I can talk yours.
Yeah, so you tell yours and the first
Mine, I don't know if it's a regret, it's something I learned from. I stayed
longer than I should have in a toxic relationship and put more effort to try and fix it when it wasn't fixable. Easy to say after the fact, but stuck in the moment a bit. And a good decision was basically it was a mindset shift, but it was also from reading a book. But I was a little bit of a perfectionist, and I worried about too many things, which if you worry about too much, you can't actually focus or prioritize. So you're trying to do a bunch of everything, so it was a bit give less energy to certain things and more focus and energy to the other. Now I gotta remember the yours. Oh. This probably relate with most people, but it was just kind of the younger in their 20s, some of the lifestyle and health decisions you make, maybe too much drinking or having a little too much fun. I have the same one. And then your good decision, actually.
Decision.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, I had like this one moment where I made a decision to change my life. Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
From now on.
Good job.
From now on.
No, I already
I
did.
changed.
Some time ago.
I love it.
Strong. Giorgio.
Alright, bad decisions. Personally, I played way too much video games, and I'm still kind of like addicted to it. Whenever like I don't allow myself to get near it, and if I do, I cut it out as quickly as I can. So that's kind of the worst decision. That's where I threw all my teenage years. Best decision is leaving my home country, Italy, 10 years ago. Best thing I've ever done. Never gone back.
Mr. Guy.
So, like my regret is a period of my life that I was hooked to instant gratification shit, and like nightlife stuff, and you know, all the.
Substance.
Thank you so much. I don't want to say this. Not like it. And a good decision is like deciding to put the effort in something that is outside of myself, and that will actually give me like a bigger reason to push myself forward, other than like I want to be happy, I want to be rich, I want to be successful. All of those stuff when it gets hard, you don't always see that, but that when it's someone else on the line for me, it's easier to push myself and say, okay, what would other people miss if I'm not gonna, present myself as the best and actually give something to the world that the world needs. So I think that's the best decision I've made, and the worst decisions that I made.
I love it. Irene?
Yeah, I was thinking about that decision, and actually I can relate to yours because I also feel like that I wasted so much time on people that so I tend to overthink, and like sometimes you just put so much energy into the things that are not worth it, and you wasted your time on it, and then you regret that you could put this energy into something like really meaningful, like really good for you, like into your business or your project or something really fulfilling. So I think that's it. Like wasting time on some petty things or some people. And the best decision I think is moving to Georgia for a while. It was my first experience abroad. I spent my whole life in Moscow, Russia, so it was like the best experience and really eye-opening experience that I think that when you move abroad, like you take this risk, yeah, it's like a risk in a way, and you learn so much about yourself.
Yeah.
And it's really helped me a lot, and I think that's why I'm here, like I'm continuing like moving, traveling, yeah.
Amazing. Love it. Thank you.
My best decision is similar to, yeah, because I'm from Russia, from Kaliningrad city. It's my hometown, and I spent my whole life there. But I traveled a lot to Europe. But I used to live in Kaliningrad, and I always dreamed about this digital nomad lifestyle or living in another countries for a while. And yeah, it made the best decisions that I decided to move from Russia out and live in different places and to change these the thoughts about what is home, what home is, and because my home is only one piece of luggage, and that's it. Yeah, it's about decisions that you make, that you're just not afraid, you just do it, and and that's it. Yeah. And thinking about it with a bullet, yeah, because I was out several times. Yeah, they try to catch us and don't move forward. Yeah, and I understood it's really complicated to remember the decisions that I regret, and I remember only the simple ones that as a decision to eat in the Indian restaurant. It was really it's about I get really bad poison. I poisoned really bad today. And I have to check
So after you got the food poisoning, you check
Yeah,
the
Yeah, what was the reviews? Tell them the review.
So you've not stopped going to Indian restaurant after, right? Okay.
Spiciness, maybe spicy is good, but maybe it's I don't know, maybe spiciness don't kill this bacteria, and I don't know.
Yeah, no matter how many spices you're gonna put it on a
It's-
spoiled chicken, you know.
I
think it's gonna fix it.
Yeah, if it's spoiled, it's spoiled.
But the review, you have to share the review that you read afterwards.
Was it you and
What the
Renee?
review said.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
What the review said.
Yeah. It's better to die of starvation.
Oh my
And it was like, I've never seen this awful reviews. I've
Where is
never
that
seen.
restaurant?
In Bangalore is a park. Yeah, Bangalore, India is a park.
Ah, okay.
What's the name? What's the name?
That's fine, that's good.
Take notes.
You have to avoid everything.
You want to kill your boyfriend or girlfriend?
You know, you can start a very good business, going to all the restaurants with bad reviews, take one for the team, and take your second and victory.
Thank you.
Okay, my good decision was deciding to come to Vietnam and volunteer as a musician. That's something that I've never done before, and that kind of opened up my music career in Vietnam, because before that I never had an option to play every day. So that's what I did when I came from Taiwan to Vietnam. I was playing in a bar for 5 nights a week, and I got accommodation food free. And kind of met the right people, and now I'm doing it full time, and I'm really happy with it.
Amazing.
And I think a regretful decision was to watch porn when I was really young.
Yeah.
I wish I'd never done that before.
I was so badly.
I think it fucks up our minds
Yeah.
and our perceptions of sex and relationships and how things should go. So I would say I would regret that, but the rest of my decisions I'm really grateful for. And even there was some bad ones, I'm really happy because every decision that I made, I can see it now as a lesson and not as a bad decision.
Right.
So,
Even the bad lessons for you.
yeah, exactly.
Thanks for sharing.
So you either learn or earn, either way you win.
Right.
Exactly.
And a banana.
Chanel.
For For me, best decision that I made was start traveling when I was 22, 23, alone. So it changed my perspective, it changed my life. Because I'm from Serbia, from a small town. When everyone is like this, no one wants to know something different. If you see other cultures, they're like, oh my god. If someone is different, it's oh my god, so stupid. So I'm happy for that. Yeah. And what I really regret is that I don't play saxophone because I had opportunity. I used to play flute in a musical school, and they didn't have a saxophone professor. And after 3 years, they would be like, Lena, you wanna switch? You wanna play saxophone? And I was like, no, it's okay. And now whenever I see someone playing saxophone, I'm like,
It's never too late.
because
Just do it.
I know, but it's like you get like all the knowledge in the world, and I had that for flute, and I don't use it. I read it. I'm like I told her, it wasn't my first choice. I really wanted to play saxophone, but I couldn't. I was like, all right, I'll play flute.
Knowing what you learn now and the motivation you have, you will be so much more motivated, you will learn so much faster.
I want to go back to saxophone too, so we can.
Wow. Yeah, let's
Hey,
do band.
okay.
Between the three of you, you know.
Start a band.
Reggae band.
You can
Yeah,
knock the
I can play the coconut.
Thank you.
About the rest time, a few years ago, I work a lot, maybe more than 10 hours per day, and I'm very helpful, and I don't have time for personal life, and stressful. I have stressful, but I didn't know. Yes, I didn't know I have stressful. I feel I'm okay, but inside myself, I'm not. But after I changed my job, and it's better, I have a time for me to enjoy my life, and I have a time to slow down, and I can more time doing the lesson how to learn about mental health, and to learn how to be the happiness more successful. Everyone say successful make you feel more rich or something, but it's not really make to me happy. Happy is just inside.
Yeah.
When I feel enough, it's enough. And for now, I feel enough, and it's me. I'm happy for now.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's a regret.
Yes. Yeah. Out of it, I didn't touch it. That's
Was
pretty
that
cool.
lyric, it's never a bad decision?
No.
Let me check. Don't be freaky.
That would be interesting.
No, it's called
The boom start heard it.
something from Beyonce, whatever. I don't know how it showed up. Let me turn it off. Okay, turn off everything. Seriously, Instagram reel out of the blue. My phone was here.
And then the other decision, or is that both of them?
That's all.
Is,
That's all.
okay.
From a trauma that happened, I helped myself to get out of that space by doing a lot of healing modalities, joining the School of Practical Philosophy, doing a lot of workshops. It's crazy stuff for the last 15 years. And so that was the good decisions. And it all led me to be able to heal my dog from paralysis to walking again.
Nice.
So, no bad decisions.
Yeah, what is this?
Everything is good.
Yeah.
No, it's still not.
So I would say that, yeah, without doubt, the best decision I ever made was in July 2019 when I decided to go to rehab in Thailand to deal with long-standing addictions to alcohol, cocaine, gambling. I had reached the point where basically I had no option. It was change or suicide. So once I got to that point, I was blessed that I made the decision to go to the rehab. So from that one decision, I made another decision to quit my job about 9 months later. So that was in 2020, and since then I've just been sort of trying dreams, do what I want to do, enjoy life. So yeah, that was a pretty important decision, I would say. So from that, bad decisions, it's interesting what I said to Candice. I don't see them as bad decisions. I think that last night I was listening to a podcast by Gabor Mate, and he was talking about this topic about regrets, and he said that regrets are, in a way, it's an inability to forgive ourselves by having regrets. It was an excellent podcast. So I see some of the, rather than bad decisions, I see them as missed opportunities. And I'll give 2 examples of missed opportunities. So in 2003, I had a brother that was killed in a road accident, and I remember a very profound moment during that time. During the funeral, or the day before the funeral, one of my teachers, I was 23 at the time, and one of my teachers came to the house, and he also had a brother who was killed in a road accident, and he said to me, if I can give you one piece of advice, it's to seek professional help immediately, straight away, or as soon as possible. And obviously, I didn't listen to him. I was young, immature, I had limited understanding of mental health issues, I had limited understanding of trauma, and so I now look at that not as a bad decision, it was definitely a missed opportunity. And following on from that, 1 month after that, I remember being physically and emotionally exhausted and going to a doctor, and it wasn't my regular doctor, it was a female doctor who I had never seen before or since, and she took one look at me and she said, you look absolutely, completely run down, are you under stress? And again, my limited understanding of stress, mental health issues, led me to laugh, because I associated stress with work, that people at work are under stress. I didn't have a job at the time, so I just laughed at her and said, no, of course I'm not under stress. And I didn't share with her, oh well, actually my brother had been killed a month ago. So I look at those 2 things not as bad decisions, definitely missed opportunities. And from that, like 2003, then I spent the next 11 years cocaine, gambling, wild lifestyle, completely wild lifestyle, alcohol. 2000, then 10 years later, 11 years later, I was actually kicked out of Iraq. My employers were that scared of me because I had so much anger and rage in my body. I got fired from my job because I was going to kill my boss. But they actually paid me $11,000 to leave on that very day.
Oh wow.
They were so afraid of me. Now, that was an obvious moment where I should have looked at myself and went, holy shit, you've got issues here. You need to deal with this. You could say that was a bad decision, but another missed opportunity. Now, Carl Jung said, a man who has not passed through the inferno of his passions has not overcome them. So I could look at that moment in 2003, I could look at that moment in 2014, and I could conclude that I had not passed through that inferno yet. I was not ready in that moment, so it took another 5 years of madness before 2019 came along, and that was just nuts. I could tell you so many stories with that, but that was it all brought me to that fateful moment where I decided, okay, it's either change or suicide, and I chose change.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. That was beautiful.
You made a good choice.
Thank you. Some days I think so.
Well, after hearing so much struggling, my regrets are nothing. Like I'm fully good now. Because from, like, if you manage to go from that to here, that's really impressive. So personally, something that I have shared, it was about that I was 17. I heard a guy who was truly in love with me, and I had realized that only like, I don't know, 10 years ago, because I have been in very different relationships and toxic relationships as well. Now, like, the lessons that I've learned from that, I appreciate responsible in relationship men now, and I appreciate men who takes responsibility for
He's
the
taking
family,
responsibility.
who takes responsibility for the family and stuff like that. I think that I truly love, like, the decisions that I made. It was like last year I decided to fast for 3 days. I managed only 56 hours because like my head started hurting, and I was like, no, I'm not. I could have, but I'm not pushing it. 56 hours still good, but it was not just that. I fast. I didn't speak with anyone. I cut off all the like gadgets. Nothing. The only thing I could do, drink water and just walk or go to the beach, but not talking, not watching anything. I was really addicted to watching movies and stuff like that. Not talking to my relatives. Like, of course, I have warned them that people, I'm okay. I'm in Vietnam, everything is fine, but I'm not gonna talk to anyone for like 3 days. I was planning for a week or so, but then I changed my mind because I think it would be too much. It would have been too much. So I turned to 3 days, and then I ended up like eating 56 hours, but no communication, nothing. It was 3 days. And from that, I have started changing myself, and I don't know why I came up to that, with that, but from starting from like last year, I started changing my life more intensely. I mean, I have been doing that for like, I know, 5 years now, but from that moment, it went more internal than around.
Well, we've heard some amazing stories. Yours incredibly good, Medusa. Thank you for sharing it. Love your story as well about overcoming toxic relationships. Warren, that's amazing. Seriously, no, Warren is called the silent killer for men in video games. Seriously. I work with many of my clients who are struggling with that. So thank you for that. Not a lot of guys have the courage, because it's a very serious thing you want to share. For you to comment, that's beautiful. So about me, 2 decisions that I'm happy I didn't make. One was getting married 20 years ago. I wasn't ready. Number 2, I think that was one that I really am happy I didn't make. Things I wish I changed differently. In 2012, I went to China. It was a land of opportunities. You can take anything. Take, for example, this bottle, slap your name on it, and print money. I met a bunch of guys over there, all now multimillionaires, especially Amazon FBA. Not even mention Bitcoin. So that was one thing I regret. Two things that completely changed my lives. It's more like internal. Number one, understand the tremendous power of asking the right questions. First of all, before when something bad happened to me, I used to ask the wrong questions. Why me? What did I do to deserve this? Why is life so unfair? Where's God? When you whine a little bitch, nothing will come out. And then I start to understand and ask a much more empowering questions, such as, what is that trying to teach me? What is the lesson for me to learn today? And that applies to anything. Hardships, heartbreak, tragedy, heartbreak, whatever. It's always a lesson. Nothing happens to you but for you. Once I started asking those questions, that changed my life. Another thing that changed my life was listening to that voice, listening to your gut feelings, to your hunches, because that's your soul talking to you. When your soul talks to you, your soul has 2 purposes: keep you safe, protect you, and keep you alive, and guide you to the next phase of your journey. The two greatest decisions I've taken last 5 years completely in my life came as a result of me listening to my voice. The first one was start my podcast. That completely opened the world for me, completely changed my life. I used to be incredibly painfully shy. That helped me kill my shyness. And now I'm a much better person. Forget about the business, the money, and all that. Just the relationships, the friendships, the people, the opportunities. Seriously. Speaking of that, shameless plug. I'm always looking for amazing stories to showcase on my podcast, like yours. I would love to showcase all of you guys on my podcast. So if you want to be on my podcast, reach out to me. This is my podcast about. It's about showcasing, inspiring, empowering, and goosebump-inducing stories. So yeah, that's about me. All I have to say is you guys have amazing stories. Keep sharing your gifts because your stories are your gifts. Share them with the world. That's my message. Thank you.
Love it. It was so interesting to hear all of your stories, just with simple decisions. A lot of the times, like when it comes down to decisions, just to kind of recap this, because we spent a lot of time on this already, and who knows what cognitive biases are? No. So that's just like it's basically a flawed reasoning in just the way that you're interpreting information, the way that you are actually coming to decisions, and a lot of times it happens because of other people. To favor information in that's supporting your beliefs or someone else's beliefs. A lot of times decisions that we make will be because of someone else, or they'll be because of our values. And so, who is the decision maker of your life?
We like to think we are, but what happens as a factual thing is that 95% of the decisions are made from the subconscious side of our brain, and the logical brain is just making excuses to why we made the decision, but probably it's the inner stories and inner thoughts, and as you said, the cognitive biases that we have, which there's a list of, it's an infinite list of conscious biases that you cannot, it's not something, one thing that you can do, beside the fact to work on your awareness and to understand. And you said something about the inner voice, and it's a very tricky thing, because the inner voice can be, it's very hard to recognize which side is the inner voice of yourself, your true self, and which part of yourself is talking, which is the bias. In my perspective, the inner voice is silence, is never talking. And when I have the chatter, to myself, I'm not, it's always the biases. And they're very loud for myself. Like, specifically for myself, the chatter in my head is only bad. Like when I have a chatter, the silence in my head is much more positive than the chatter. Like the chatter is always making me feel like, should I do that? Am I good enough for that? Or what would people think or whatever? So in my perspective, the silent part is the one that I should go with, and the biases that we all have. We just need to be aware of them. There's a great book by a guy called Dan Ariely, Unrational and Not by Accident. I don't know if that's the
Unrational and Not by Accident.
yeah, and that's the name of the guy. That's just translated from Hebrew in my mind.
No, I have no idea. I didn't read it.
Anyways, is talking about psychology and economic, or the decision that we make, and whether we are actually the ones standing behind them or not. The short answer is not. We're not. The biases that we have in the subconscious side of our brain, which is massive. So it can be from a small thing we heard as kids. Like if your mom told you when you were 7, you gotta work hard for your money, or easy come, easy go, and suddenly you get $50,000 in a second, you're gonna have your inner belief gonna ruin the gift that you got.
How is that possible?
Because
It's not
it's not
works,
the
yeah.
subconscious works with, if your reality changes and your subconscious not, the subconscious is gonna take control to make sure that your reality is matched to the subconscious part.
Match to the paradigm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so for example, money-wise or relationship-wise, it's the same thing. There's no such a thing as love. I don't know, everyone heard different stories and see different presentations of money and love and success and whatever. And a lot of the times the stories that we have are are for 6 years old boy that makes sense of the world as a 6 years old can. And you know, right now I'm 34, but I still have sometimes beliefs of a 6 years old boy that's and you know, there's a thought that we need to be aware of and not, you know, say, oh my god, this is not my, you know, it's okay, it's a thought of my inner child, and hug it, and you know, just think rationally as much as you can. That's it, that was my monologue.
Yeah, I love what Guy said, and even though we think that we are the decision maker of our life, a lot of the times we actually aren't. It's the subconscious, and even if we want to be, it takes a lot of processing within our head but then that's where overthinking comes into play, when we start to overthink and, oh, am I gonna make the right decision? Is this the thing that I should do, shouldn't do? Or you want to just leave the hands in the universes or God. Of like, oh, let me have God make this decision for me. I think
surrender,
I think that's actually a little bit of irresponsible in some way, because you're letting someone else, like the universe, take control, or God take control of what.
But you are
I think they should have a balance, because
Yeah.
reality is, man, there's a certain amount of control you can have, and most of the control is out of your hand. And if you're gonna treat life like this, yeah, like it's a perspective. Most of the stuff we're gonna do, we're not gonna have control. Like there are stuff that we have control. Give every attention to the stuff that you can control.
Right.
But the uncontrollable, let God decide. You can
Yes.
call it God, you can call it energy, call it whatever you want. Call it whatever will be. I don't care. But you know, just make your own actions and let go of the rest. In my.
You don't know what's gonna happen after
You don't know.
the first step.
You can't.
Like,
That's
You
the
can
point I was
rationalize
trying
and
to
say probably that what's going to happen, but the
But
probably is
probably it's not gonna
50-50.
Right.
But the probably is 50-50. Maybe yes, maybe no, maybe a little bit.
yeah.
You know.
That's the point that I'm trying to make. What actually happens and what the results is kind of up to God's hands and the universe's hands. But the decision
Mhm.
to actually do something, that's up to you and your
100%.
workings, your
100%.
inner workings, right? But if you were like, okay, what should I do? What action should I take? You're essentially not
You
making
can
a decision.
meditate on that.
Huh?
You can ask and meditate on that. And
Yes.
get answers.
But
Yeah.
it's you that get the final decision.
Yeah,
Like,
of
even if
course,
you had a
yeah.
hunch on that, you can say,
But
you
you
know
can
what,
have help.
that's the hunch, but I'm gonna go the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Be there.
There's a lot. There's. I love decisions, and from what it seems like, we all are knowing that we have bad decisions, and we all know that we also can make great decisions. But how do you make a better decision in your life? One thing that I've actually realized, it was a huge mindset shift for me, was realizing that every decision is not going to be perfect. It's just about the decision that you make. Is this thing that I'm about to do going to get me closer to where I want to be, or further away? Because when has a decision ever been absolutely perfect? Really, really small percentage.
Mm-hmm.
But it will get you maybe 20% closer to where you want to be, or 5% closer. I mean, I fall to this all the time, where I take so long to sometimes just make a simple decision of what to eat. And I'm like, oh my
It's
gosh.
crucial. It's crucial, bro.
Yeah, in some ways, but then if you're at a vegan restaurant, it's like, you know, it's all healthy.
But it's too much
Even in a
options,
vegan
too much
restaurant, you
options.
get lots of shit.
Yeah, sure. But what I'm
Even
saying,
the
That
cauliflower
doesn't
wings and
matter.
vegan,
Yeah,
they're not. Maybe they're not the best for you.
the cauliflower, huh?
Yeah.
It shows on you.
Oh yeah. Oh dang.
I would say just choose which decisions you want to spend time on.
Choose
Like,
your fights.
Right.
Yeah.
Choose your battles.
Because I agree that food is important.
Yeah, but spending 20 minutes or 15 minutes to choose which one? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Spending
for
10
me,
years
yeah.
to work to
Yeah.
work.
Especially when I'm trying to change my diet, then like I would rather like take 20 minutes and find something good and what I would like, than be like, okay, I need to eat. I want like nuggets. Okay, whatever. Let's take nuggets.
Sure. But how does this
that's
translate to
fun.
what you're doing in the rest of your life, and with decisions that you're trying to make?
That's what I'm saying. That like he said, choose your fight. So if it's like about, okay, am I writing with like black pen or blue pen, that's like 20 minutes, that's a lot, you just begin your ride. But if it's food, or if it's like, I don't know, what to say to my mom, how to come out to my mom, that takes time in order to not hurt her feelings and present something in the best way possible. So,
I like that perspective of presenting things the best way possible. But a lot of the times it's overthinking to make the best decision.
if you
To not-
attend to that and you're not aware of that, yes.
Right.
I used to be like an overthinker, but now I'm aware of that, and when I realize that, okay, so I'm going back there, I'm overthinking stuff, I stop myself and I'm like, okay, so what do I want? Or which decision will help me to reach some goals in the best way?
Yeah.
Then I do that.
In the best way, right?
One thing else I
Exactly.
can share is that I used to be extremely indecisive, even for example taking 20 minutes just to say what I'm gonna wear today, what shirt, whatever. And then I read a book and it said decision making is a muscle like anything else. If you can make fast decisions on small things, you can make fast decisions on the bigger things.
Right.
So in I was like the same thing now. My coach always tells me in business, you know that, it's all about don't be perfectionist, fail fast, fail forward. Get going, get an MVP out right away. So you can learn from it. So now I'm doing the same thing, make decisions fast, and whatever happens. So of course within a certain limit, you know.
But
Don't jump
with the
from it.
decision, you have to make action as well.
Of course.
You can decide, oh, I'm gonna do this, but then you're not.
Of course, of course.
So it's
You
like
have to follow too, absolutely.
So a question, how long did it take you to become like that?
It's still making decision fast, you mean?
Yeah.
Still an ongoing process, but I'm much better now. So it depends if it's small things, like
So
for
it
example.
takes training, right?
Of course, like anything else, a muscle.
So first time I will think 20 minutes about what I'm gonna eat. Next time when I get in shape, I know my diet, I know my
Yeah, you start learning about foods and you start understanding, okay, cucumber is good for me and
Yeah, and I
French
like,
fries
and
is
I
not
like
good for me, so
it.
you know
Yeah,
you're gonna
I
eat
mean,
less of that and more
yeah,
of
to
that.
simplify, yeah, exactly.
Yes, yes.
So what I'm trying to say that at first you will need to spend more time making decisions, but the best decisions possible, not just like the fast or to the overthink ones. So I think again, so I agree, and I also think that it takes time in order to make best decision and not waste your time to like overthink something.
So if, for example, it takes you 20 minutes to make a decision on what to eat, next time try to see if you make a decision, say in 19 within 30 seconds. Don't try to do all at once, do it in increments. Slowly,
For me,
slowly.
it's not my priorities right now, but if I want to do that, to make this decision, that would be the best approach.
Is it possible to make a best decision or best decision possible in a short period of time?
Well,
No,
Depends on your experience.
I think like for me, the best decisions I've ever made was the quick one. I was like,
It was
okay,
like,
yeah.
fuck this
Follow
shit,
your
I'm
gut
out
feeling.
here.
Yeah.
Follow your gut feeling, yes.
Yes.
I think
So.
But also the worst ones.
because also that's
Those are the worst
what
ones.
even if you do make a bad decision, that's like as we all talked about, like bad decisions are just lessons. And that's where you get to learn more about the certain thing of like, okay, this is how it made me feel to eat in that certain thing. Now I get to learn a little bit more about what this is. So I'm not gonna do this more. I'm gonna do the opposite more. Cause that, in a sense, making a bad decision actually led you closer to your goal. Because only if you actually have the correct mindset shift of this is how I'm learning from this.
Right. One Indonesian once came to me on the beach, told me never that I never know.
Put that on a t-shirt. Put that on a t-shirt.
What did he say?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that I know for myself that I make the same mistake many times. It doesn't teach me, unfortunately. So I'm not, I don't know, maybe I'm such a person, only one person in the world who does it. I doubt that.
No.
But how do you deal with that? If you see that you
You
made
train
the same type of mistake, or like similar things happen and you don't learn from them, so why? Or what actions? What's the problem?
Maybe you're
How?
addicted to the feeling of that. That's why you keep eating it.
In the moment it makes you feel good, but afterwards it's like, fuck, why did I do this?
This has to do with rewards.
I think it also
It is a
depends
lesson.
on
It's
your.
like, I think I mean that it's a little bit more complex that how it comes up like here when we
Mm.
discuss it. That's what
Mm.
makes me think that
Right.
okay, because if you every time you learn your lesson, then you know how perfectly people would be. Like
Yeah.
90% of people by the time when they are like 70, they would be like, I don't know, almost
Yeah.
in I don't know, like,
Yeah, but
enlightened,
Maybe-
you know,
but
but
there
that
are
doesn't
not all
happen,
the same
that's the thing, so-
situations. Situations are different, like in a bit every time. So it doesn't mean that you every time. It's not like okay, this situation happened like exactly with all the details again.
But maybe
So
it's,
they are
maybe
different.
it's also habits that you have that is
yeah,
difficult to
habits.
change.
The thing is that our brain always look for the path of least resistance.
Yes.
It doesn't look at the
The
long
easiest
term.
way.
You don't care about your long term. Your brain don't care about how you look in 10 years. There is no 10 years from your brain perspective. Your brain can see what's happening now and what's the result that you're gonna feel now. And in a way, if we're gonna simplify it,
Mhm.
imagine that you have a dopamine receptor, which is the dopamine is the feel good hormone, chemical. And when you do something that feels good to the brain, the opening the Instagram, chocolate,
Okay.
porn,
Like a
go,
short-term
gambling, all the
reward,
good stuff in
right?
life. you get dopamine, and the problem is that if you want to do something, for example, open Pornhub for a second, or going to a casino, or eating chocolate, or whatever you want to do, and if you're not going to do it, what's happening is that your brain is looking for a dopamine. It's very hard for the brain to expect a dose of dopamine and not to get it. It's like painful.
Yeah.
And from the other hand, when it happens, there's another chemical called cortisol. And cortisol, that's like the bad
stress,
side.
the stress
Yeah.
And
hormone.
cortisol is super important.
Yeah.
Like we have to have a base level of cortisol. Like that's what gets you wake up in the morning. It's a good thing to have. But when you're stressed, it's bad. And when you're expecting to get something and you're not getting it, you get cortisol. So you get more stress. So that's why the habits that we got, like if you do something outside of your will, let's call it, like you don't want to eat the chocolate. You know that you don't want to eat the chocolate. You know you're gonna eat the chocolate. You're gonna feel bad after you eat the chocolate. You know it. You've done it many times. You have the same behavior, but you keep doing it. So first of all, be okay with yourself to understand that that's your default mode as a human. It's not you special. You're very special, but we are all the same. That's how our brain wired. And when you're coming consciousness to the part that that's the system, it's easier to step aside and say, okay, I'm willing to accept the pain of the cortisol right now. I understand that the dopamine, I'm not going to get it, and it's going to feel uncomfortable. And I will accept the uncomfortable feeling, and I will make the decision that I know that will be good for me in 5 years, and not in the price of I'll pay for me right now. And it's a very conscious decision that's going to be very uncomfortable. But there's in neuroscience there is a saying that says that if it fires together, it's wired together, which means that there are neurons when you make the decision not to eat this chocolate, it's going to feel painful because this is not the path of least resistance. It's a new path. It's a new neuron pathway.
It's kind of to build it up.
Your body also creates dopamine by itself. Like it's not.
Of course.
You don't have to have it artificially.
No, you don't.
You can do things like simple yoga or breathing
Meditation.
or walking
Yeah.
on the beach in nature and stuff like to just
Of the dopamine, you mean?
yeah. And then
Yeah, but it also, like, if you have ADHD, I don't know, guys, if you know, like, have learned this. I personally, like, was diagnosed with that, but I do not believe in that because every symptoms that I had, I overcame most of that. So I don't think that it's something that cannot be treated or whatever. But at the same time, I believe that ADHD might be a damaged mindset, which is really difficult to overcome. And simple things like, for example, for neurotypical people, if they like wash the dishes, they feel good. The brain releases a little bit of dopamine, and they're like, I achieved something, right? So for ADHD mindset, it doesn't work that way. We do not get rewarded by our brain for doing small stuff.
I'm also the ADHD. You need to find the tricks of what does work.
Yeah,
For
so
me,
what I'm
it's doing the
saying-
if I do the dishes, I don't feel good. I need to do something extreme. If it's not extreme, I don't feel.
what I'm trying to say that it's, you can train your brain to not make same decisions, not just but by avoiding, and also like if you're strong enough, you can accept the pain, accept the discomfort. But at the same time, rather than looking at like accepting pain, you can look positively. Okay, so chocolate makes me happy. What else? Maybe hanging out with my friends, talking out, coming to this place makes me like happier.
But
Maybe
also having that
setting-
perspective like, oh, I'm proud of myself at the end, eat the chocolate.
Yeah, so do not look at negative things like, I can do this, because, come on, yeah, of course, you're like strong enough to do that, but at the same time, I would be like, okay, I want chocolate, I'm dying, I want chocolate. What can I do instead? What I'm allowing myself to do instead in order to get my dopamine?
That has to do
I
with
can
also.
flirt with some guys, okay, I will go outside and like, or for
Change my
example,
sheets.
or go to improv, which gives me a lot of
Yeah.
like dopamine, and
Yeah.
like instead of doing
From the
something
goggles.
that gives me instant dopamine and doesn't help me, make decisions that like, but it will not help me, I would rather choose something positive in a different direction.
This has to do with rewards. Rewarding ourselves like the rewards we get intrinsically or the rewards we get extrinsically. Because there's different ways that we can reward ourselves, and with instant gratification and delayed gratification, it has to do with this. It's really deep intertwined with this. Do you all know what intrinsic rewards is?
No.
So intrinsic reward is essentially like the feelings that you get when you what?
It's something from within,
Yes.
not from the outside, right?
Yes.
Because someone telling you, or know someone you regard as an authority, tells you that it's done, well done, but you yourself know you can measure your own achievements yourself, and
Yes.
it's enough for you.
Exactly.
Like, oh, I've done it really well, I'm content with that. Well, how do you do that?
Train.
Give me the answer.
You have
Right, Sam, give us the reason, the ways.
you have
You have to accept it. I actually used to pretty much, somebody compliments me, I feel that, I actually like unconsciously block compliments, or kind of like, oh, that was super easy, you have to actually, I think step one is like accept it.
Yeah.
Or else exactly.
Yeah, totally. That's like when you're trying to accept the external. That's like when someone tells you something, that's an external reward. But when in the internal reward, that's like fun, that's like joy, that's like passion, that's self-mastery, that's feeling like you're improving, or it's feeling like you're learning, or it's understanding your failures. It's essentially just personal development. And like intrinsic rewards come from you when you're performing an activity, regarding if you are actually achieving some reward, you're actually getting something like a trophy or money from it. You're wanting to do it just because you want to do it. Essentially, that's basically what it is. Your reward is justified by just doing
And
it.
if you don't want to do, because I'll tell you this from my side, the things that I want to do, man, I'm fucking champion that I do it like a motherfucker, man. I'm doing it. The things that I don't want to do, it's a different story. It's painful to do them.
That's where you also like you. Where's that motivation coming from to do the things that you don't want to do?
For myself, I want to improve. Like I want to become
Right.
a better
That's
person.
intrinsic motivation.
Okay.
But the external motivation is okay. What would you get from improving yourself?
Yeah, it's less for me. It's less fun.
You would get money. You would get fame. You would get whatever.
For me, it doesn't. That's not what pushes me. When it's really hard, if it's not for myself, like for my inside, I don't care about the.
Right. So what do you think? So I think we're a little bit mixed in here from what I maybe. Who is an externally motivated person? No.
A lot of times
What,
it's easier
get
for me
money
to
or
do
to
things.
feel better?
So-
Yes.
Okay, I'll tell you something. As a guy that was many years of my life, I was extremely motivated by the external side, from what how people will see me, what's going to be my image,
Yeah.
what clothes will I wear, how much money will I have. Those were my goals. Where will I live? How much money am I going to have? What's going to be my worth? And the problem was that I actually got to all of my top level places I wanted to, I wished I would be. I got there because I worked my fucking ass off.
Yeah.
Because it gave me the motivation. My problem started when I got there.
And what?
And then
And,
that's
it's-
right.
and then I'll tell you this, I'll give you an example. I asked,
Why didn't you enjoy?
I tell you why. Because there's never enough. And when I got to the point, the thrill of making it was my thing. I wanted to make it, I wanted to break my barrier. But when I got to my barrier, I asked myself, I gave myself a very high limit, and I said, when I get to this limit, I'll be happy. And I got to this limit, and I was miserable. I was anxious, sad, and my goal was money. I made a lot of money, I had a lot of money, and it was the most anxious time I had in my life about money, and I had more than I could spend. And I was anxious about money.
But
Like,
you
and
were
that's
driven by
my-
intrinsic
So it's
motivation. You were
basically
driven
what
by
you said,
intrinsic
right?
reward, right?
Like
You were
No,
driven
it's
by
not about the
desire.
external.
Or
My
just
motivation was
just
extremely
money.
external.
Just money.
No, it was not just money. It was
Okay.
but it was only stuff that are. I couldn't care about my spirituality, about my growth. I would go to the gym, but my gym. Well, I was 6 times a week to the gym, but the goal was not. I don't care about health. I just want to be fucking fit.
So one thing I want to point out is external motivation is the stuff to achieve to the mountaintop.
Yeah.
But the thing about this, where do you go from here?
Down.
Jump.
Yeah, you go down or you go to the mountain that's over here in the back in the corner.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, if I'm driven by money, but the thing is, like for me, I want to make a lot of money, but my motivations are in order to help my family, in order to help people in need, in order to contribute to, and again, I will not be doing that for them, I will be doing that for me because I will feel good about it. Not to show off that now I can take care of you people, but
Yeah.
to have this feeling that I make my mom proud, like I helped somebody and helping other people feels good. Don't get me wrong, I'm not doing because I'm kind, because it feels good. I have my dopamine from that. And like, how can what is this? Is it internal or external? Like,
That's external.
okay.
In my opinion, I think that's a little bit of external. It's a majority of external, but then it comes internally once you actually feel it. So you see, because say you're like you're here on this mountain, this little short mountain here, but to save up a bunch of money and support your family and your
Not
mom-
save.
sorry, just to make all that money to then support your family and to donate it and to just give it all and then just to help a lot of people that are in need, right? That's like the place where you want to be. I mean, that's also a really, really motivating thing, just like in that own nature. However, can you still do it while you're down here? Is there little bits of it that you can do it right here already?
I am doing that, but
So-
I want to do it more. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm motivated to be better, better, and better, and better. And there's never top because
Yes.
like people in need will never finish.
Exactly.
My family will, I hope, will live long enough with me.
So that's the whole thing, is you just said there will never be more. Anything that is external, there will never be more of.
Okay.
Everything internally is also never gonna be more of. But so the internal thing is where we get to we're searching for something, but we're okay with that journey. We're okay with that journey that's internal of joy and passion, because there's always an internal motivator that is like, okay, myself, I'm really motivated by myself to just be happy. I want to be happy, I want to be joy, I want to be super driven, and I want to be motivated just by growing myself.
Motivated to do what?
That's where it comes externally.
Okay.
What to do? Because then, okay, you get to this top mountain of the external side. Then you're like, okay, where do I go next? Okay, then there's another thing. There's the place that I want to go where it's just like more donating and more giving to more people. So you're getting to that next mountain and you're doing that again. and again. It's like you reach to the top and then you do it again. You reach to the top,
I
you
think
do
that
it
the
again.
problem
If you
with the
want to do it
external
again.
part, the problem is not there's always extra high. Because I could say, okay, I want to make $10 million. Okay, now I'll make $50 million. Now I make
Yes.
100. There's always a next top. The problem is that the amount of dopamine that you expect to get when you reach the top
It's not gonna.
is not enough. And it's not, okay, you get the dopamine,
It's
there's
never
a
enough.
lot of hard work you've done, and if you haven't got yourself spike up on dopamine all the way, and you expect to get the high five of dopamine at the top of the mountain, and you get the high five, but it feels like,
And that's
and
where
then you're like, now I need to work
Even more.
again to this top? Fuck that, I'm gonna smoke weed.
right.
No, it's not that for me. I'm happy where I am now. Like it's like right now. My first goal was to be able to make amount of money and be able to save some. So at first I would be just making enough to just survive. Let's say that. But then my next, and I was fine with it. I was comfortable. I knew where I should go and what to do in order to be better. It's not that I'm in stress or let's go, I will not sleep, I will work. No, I get my goal and I'm like, yay, good job. So now, like we are doing the next thing.
Yeah.
Next thing is that. It's not that I'm stressing out about that. But like I do not understand why it is external if it's inside within me. Like I'm happy where I am. I haven't promised anybody to get anything. It's just something that I'm doing for me. How
So
can
then it is
I-
internal, because I mean,
Because you're doing it for the others.
again to
It's like-
feel good
Right.
about
It's
me,
like
not
I'm
about
doing
them.
something nice because it makes me feel nice.
Yeah.
But that's everything. Like that's like in
Everything.
everything. Because
But I'm not doing that like, okay, look, I'm a great person. Oh, I can do that. Like,
that is where it externally comes.
yeah, I don't do that.
Right. You're doing it just because of the rewards that you get for
Okay,
you feeling like you're a good
you
person.
say it in regards to what I said. I haven't done it and got to the places. I built businesses, I had like big offices. I haven't done it so people could see.
With
It's not that.
wrong-
It's not that.
wrong
It's not that.
motivation.
You have a mistake. What I'm saying is this. My motivation was also, yeah, it was a big part. I wanted to be the person that people say, wow, he made it. Yeah, I wanted to, but it's okay, I understand you don't. Okay. What I'm trying to say is that I also wanted to help people, and I helped a lot of people. And I pushed, like I had offices with a lot of people, and everyone that worked with me, I changed his life. It was not just about, I wanted to change life, I wanted to make money. I've changed shitload of people's life, and it was amazing. But the goal on the top, and that's the thing, when your goal is to change the world and be happy, it's an infinite goal. There is no peak.
Yes.
There's a direction.
But you basically did the same that I'm going to do, but you had different
What I'm
own
saying-
motivation.
No,
There's a
You
mix.
wanted like people say, yeah, I'm good at
Yeah, that's
that.
the external.
Yeah.
There's a mix of external
Yes,
and
but
internal.
it was not, okay,
Only for the.
I'll tell you something. There was a mix of things. It was not like I'm gonna wake up in the morning so people are gonna look how big of a I get. It's not that. Like, also, there was a part of that I wanted to be. I was in a certain, I'll tell you this, when you're in a certain circle, there are certain people that you're standing with. And when when you go out with high level people, they spend certain amounts of money, they drive certain cars, they go to certain clubs, and if that's your crowd, that's who you wanna be.
No. I used to
Perfect.
be those crowds and I never wanted to be like that. That's why I just was like, guys, you're super. I never wanted to show off. This is the difference.
Okay, so that's a different
But
show.
making impact,
No,
if you
it's-
make
it's
impact
okay.
in the people on the people's lives around you, you will be visible anyway. So it will be at least a side effect
Yeah,
of what
but
do you
again,
do for yourself,
like-
right? And it's hard to differentiate to really split these two things, like whether it's done for the sake of being seen and being respected, or
Just
to
to feel good.
feel good. And I don't know, honestly. I know, like my mom she has a little business, and I noticed that in her, I noticed that in her personality it definitely mixed up, and sometimes I can see that it's like an ego, and she really is proud, and she takes her, right, she gets this respect from the people, and she feels, at the same time she really generous and she gives a lot. So it's like, I don't know, exchanging this process of
Yeah,
giving and taking, and I don't know.
Well, I used to be like that because I grew up in Tajikistan. There is all everything about like how much money you have, what you do, and stuff like that. This is the first things that I started changing about myself, not caring what other people think about me. I can I don't know, I can have like Dior stuff, but if I don't feel like it to take it, I can take something from Lazada for 13K and just go out and don't care who said. Even if I go to some fancy like party or something.
Right.
The only way that you can be happy and like, stay on that peak is if you have the external and the internal work as well at the same time. You have to do the internal work to be happy with the goals you set yourself and yes. So
And-
if you don't do the internal work and you don't become aware of these things and take care of the small things that you know that makes you happy, and like you have to have the balance between those two. basically.
Right.
That's a real line.
Yeah.
That's why I was looking at your position and you were like, yeah, it's balanced. That's why it's like maybe a little bit this, maybe a little bit that, and that's typically where it comes in. Some people are only extrinsically motivated. Some people are internally motivated. I mean, it's a balance of whatever you want. It's really like whatever you would like to have in this world, and the way that you are motivated to get that, that's completely up to you. It's justified only by you.
And yeah, I would agree to that because sometimes when I need to achieve something, and it depends on other people, of course I would like them to see that in order to help me to achieve my goals. So it can be also like external.
And success could be a result of something and not the goal. You know, it's a result of me doing this,
It's a state of
having
mind.
my habits, the right habits and the right routine and whatever, all these things, and then my goal is to have the right routine and to do all my
Yes.
spiritual work and do my whatever, and the result will be money coming to me and opportunities coming to me and like all these things that we all want, but it's not the goal. It's a result of your work, and yeah, I think that's the thing.
So is success the opposite? Is success the opposite of failure?
I would say it's a result of failure. What's a successful
It's a result
person?
of failure, yes.
I would say a successful person is a person that mastered all the ways to fail.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest lesson in life, one thing I learned is, yes, it's important to know what to do, but it's 10 times more important to know what not to do.
Right.
I'm tremendously grateful for all the mistakes I've made, because for me they were not mistakes, they were lessons. I look at them for lesson again. Either I learn or I learn. What is that trying to teach me? That's the question I ask every time.
It's a good question, very good
And
question.
what is the lesson for me to learn to? That applies to anything. So for me, a successful person is a person that mastered all the ways to fail.
I wanted to know what everyone's definition of success is. If we could just go around the room, because everyone has a different version of success. Could we just kind of like blur it out?
For me to be happy,
So happiness.
peace.
Yes.
Acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Impact.
Impact. What is your definition of success? Achievement.
Wisdom.
You already said something.
I would say wisdom then.
Thank you.
So rude.
I know. We'll talk after, okay? After, outside.
George?
I'm thinking so hard right now.
Yeah, like, great.
I can hear.
I've
What's your
never-
favorite song? I suddenly don't know any songs anymore.
I've never thought about it. I have no idea.
You never thought about it?
I've never thought about what's the definition of success to me. I have no clue.
What's the first thing that comes to mind right now?
I think when I hear success, the first thing that comes to mind is money.
So be it.
But that's externally motivated.
Yeah,
Inner
and,
child
and that's kind of like, you know, that's kind of like more like an image that many people just have as
Right.
like success. and also doesn't make me sound very philosophical like the others.
No, but I agree with money. Yeah.
Yeah, money is a very
You
clear
need,
sign of
that's
success.
the
and
basic, that's the basic.
Yeah, it's what the world says is successful. But
Being healthy.
Being humble.
there we go, yeah, healthy is also a good one. Healthy and
Without that, you
humble.
can't have anything, right?
Balance.
Spirituality, in my perspective, is success.
Integrity, feeling like in the flow.
Sexy body.
Yeah, it's true.
Have to be fit, yes.
Yeah, there's so many things that can be successful. Cause look at all these. Remember when whoever was here like a few weeks ago when we were doing the dreams. I don't know if anyone listening, Lorenzo was here, but we had a dreams list that we were creating. There's 9 different categories. There's adventure, travel, there's health and wellness, there's family and relationships, there's legacy, there's spirituality. You see all of these different things. You have all of this. There's career, there's finances, there's wealth. There's all these different values that are inside of success. And success is not just one category. It is just one category. It's not all of the categories together. Because success, your happiness could just be, well actually that could be everything actually. But when it comes to the money, or when it comes to integrity, or you're humble, there's relationships that could be where you're just being honest with people, and your spirituality, then you have your health, your finances and your wealth. There's all these different areas of your life that you can be successful in. And this is when you can do like a certain activity called the life wheel. Anyone heard of the life wheel before?
Yeah.
The life
Yeah,
wheel.
Is that different than
Yes,
a wellness
actually, all these areas, fields which we have worked on, and they
Wheel or
fit
wheel?
with this
Wheel.
wheel of like.
Life
So-
wheel.
You divide
Life wheel,
it,
yeah.
divide it, and then you can.
You take a
if it's
different
can grow,
category in your
then
life
but
that's,
you're in balance.
You gotta be like it.
You take a different category in your life,
Yeah, I did
and you
this
look at it, okay, this is
before.
my sexuality, this is my finances, this is my health,
Adventure.
this is my happiness, my quality of life.
Why is
Like
happiness so
what's
small?
more important to you?
This is just based on how, it's not just me, but I'm saying like, out of 10, and then 1 is like in the middle. So you kind of rate it, and then this is like where you are at on the circle, and so you start to see how circular is this inner wheel here.
Is it balanced,
Yeah.
basically?
Is it
Yeah, no,
balanced?
I like it.
And that's where it's like, okay, so because if you were to try to roll this wheel, how smoothly would it roll?
Right.
It wouldn't.
It wouldn't.
Yeah.
It wouldn't roll.
It's like a cube.
It would stop somewhere. So that's where you can start to fill
Roll
in.
dice, you don't know what's gonna happen.
But are you successful at this point, or at this point?
But how do you know what's the perfect balance in the circle? Like,
You have
Perfect
Oh,
balance-
so
you
perfect
create-
balance
you
is
create-
10 of everything.
What did you say?
No, that's
Listen to yourself.
Perfect balance is 10 of everything.
10.
I
So
disagree.
it
Ten
looks
or
like
I
this.
disagree.
Oh.
You can be 10 in your health.
What's 10 for finances? That's up to you to
Ten
decide.
million.
That's always up to
It's a
you.
fine line.
That's always up, I'll tell you this, that's always up to you.
But I'm
My
trying to-
10 and
Depending on where you
everything
live.
is completely
Yeah,
different.
then-
The guy that is obese
No.
and couldn't walk out of his chair to be you is 20, is not 10.
It depends on you where you live. That's-
Not all the
But I think what I'm trying to get at,
And
what I
that's
think
the
where I
point.
struggled and I think a lot
No.
of people struggle is defining what's enough. Sometimes 10
I need to
is
know.
probably too much.
But
You
the-
need.
the money.
The question was what was perfect. Perfect is 10.
But this is.
So what's 10?
Huh?
What's enough?
You asked
And
me
if you're gonna
my
say 10 is
definition.
enough,
I give you one.
okay, otherwise everything's
But later you can update it and then
Yeah.
you'll get the change.
And also,
But that can lead you down the wrong
The
path.
10 of me was 10 years old, it's not the 10 of me as a 20 years old, and it's not the 10 of me as a 34 years old, it's always changing.
And then also.
You have to define 10 for each one of those.
Yeah, this is like a thing that you'd have to do like nearly every 6 months to a year to a few every few years. This is where you really get to understand how it's essentially the quality of your life. It's the life wheel, right? And so when you look at these different areas of your life and you're like, okay, this one is really low compared to all of them. Do I really want to focus on that, or is that intentional because of this area that I've been focusing on too much? But maybe because of this area, you actually just depending on certain areas, they will actually improve. They will actually increase depending on which area they're also in sync with and they're influenced by. But essentially, you really want to make sure that this is circular, this is balanced at the end of the day. That was a really bad circle, but
It's a potato.
It's perfectly imperfect.
perfectly imperfect. And so this is where it comes down to, okay, so how am I rewarding myself with all of this? Because there's some areas where it's like, okay, this could be a certain area that is like really been impacting me in my life, and I'm really upset because of this area in my life. Could be relationships, could be money, could be just be, yeah, your health, whatever it is. So say you were now to all of a sudden change this area in your life. You were to now focus on this specific area of your life.
And you can do SWOT analysis.
Yeah, you could do a SWOT analysis for sure. I love those. Those are really
SWOT analysis?
Yeah, strengths.
weaknesses, opportunities, threats.
What's the first one?
Strengths.
Weaknesses.
Opportunities. Threats.
Kill him! Kill him!
And threats.
You and who?
So I want to do an activity with you guys really quickly. What we're going to do is we're going to create a reward list. We're going to create a reward system. Because I see that a lot of the times within your life, my life actually, is that when I've tried super hard for certain areas of my life that has been quite difficult for me to actually achieve, there's times when you don't actually feel the benefits or you feel the actual motivation or you feel the rewards essentially from the area that you're trying to improve. It takes a lot of effort and dedication and, well, willpower it takes. And for you to continuously put time and time and time, energy and energy and energy into that certain thing without ever experiencing a specific benefit or reward, that loses its motivation in itself. Because if you're trying to get something and you're not and you're not internally motivated to do it, then it's going to be extremely hard to keep going.
Yeah, I've done all this work, but I'm not getting any better.
Right.
Why?
It's like you're still in the same place a year later or 6 months later. It's because you haven't allowed yourself to celebrate the little wins.
Right? Mic drop.
Yes.
James Clear, you read Atomic Habits.
I actually never finished it.
No.
I read the different habit. Yeah.
I'll send you a copy of the book. James Clear talks about something that calls the valley of disappointment.
Valley of Disappointment.
Yes.
That's the book's title, no?
No,
It's
that's
part of the
Atomic
book.
Habits.
Well, I meant to read it.
It's a very, it's
Yeah.
There's
it's
another
an amazing
about
book.
habits.
And what it talks about is that like we like to think of the results that we're gonna get from our habits as a linear thing. Like if that's gonna be the chart, we expect that the result's gonna be here after X amount of time. There's an exponential growth of the actual result. And all of this valley, where you feel shit because nothing is not working, it's working. It just doesn't work the way you expected it to work.
Yeah.
That valley is what kills most people's dreams.
But how do you solve that? Is by you giving yourself celebrations, giving yourself small rewards.
Short-term goals, middle-term goals,
Yeah,
long-term goals.
there's a difference between like an extravagant reward and then an immediate reward. Some cases, it's important to gratify yourself immediately depending on how tough that activity is. And so this is what we're going to do, so we're first gonna do understanding our task types. So, because we already talked about the reward systems, and so we have to understand things that we don't want to do. This is essentially what it is for. It's for the things that we don't want to do, because we are already intrinsically motivated by the stuff that we do want to do, right? And so, if you could just make a list and put together all the things that you monotonously do or perform regularly, daily, weekly, monthly, and so we're going to categorize them into like 4 main hubs. They're the annoying but necessary tasks, right? So this could be areas of maintenance or creativity or your main job or physical activity. I know Nent is super motivated internally to do physical activity, but there's also maybe some areas of his life where maybe doing a backflip or like a double backflip could be like something that could be like annoying.
Yeah, I also
an annoying goal.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, not double backflip, but yeah.
And sometimes I think that don't do that for some reason. I don't know why. For example, I think, oh, I should restart my art habits like painting, I don't know, drawing or painting. I like it. I remember I liked it. I used to like it for sure. But now I need to put some effort into it. For some reason, I don't start it, and I'm just surprised why I am in double lines. Like I don't know whether I like it or I don't like it. So
Maybe-
sometimes it's not such an easy choice.
Yeah, I think
you
it's-
know, the thing even to like decide whether I like it or I don't like it. The level of indecisiveness or what, like how do I word it in English? I don't know. It can be different. In my case, it can be disastrous like this. So I don't know. If it's not necessary, if it's something not survival, then it's hard for me to decide because sometimes I feel I'm so far from myself, like maybe 20 years or 10 years ago when I knew what I wanted and I didn't want, but I gave it up because I had more important things to do. I had to like stop doing it because I had my sacrifice. And then after 10 years of this, or maybe 15 years, I forget what I really want. And this is a bit, I don't know, if I
Maybe you can pay money for a class.
Right.
That's worse.
I think something
It's
that
not a one day
we don't
thing.
consider is like we need to put ourselves in the right environment to spark up certain things.
Yeah.
And for me, for example, in Israel, it was hard for me to like be a musician, for example, because I didn't have musician friends. And then when I came to Vietnam, I suddenly met all these people, and like, it was so easy to do it because there's a community, and the people who drive you and spark you something. And also the other thing I want to say is maybe you changed. Maybe you don't actually like it
Like you said,
anymore.
like 10 years ago was a long time ago. You liked it then,
Yeah.
but you changed it
Yeah.
and you changed it today.
But you remember the good feeling that you got from it.
Yeah. But still, you maybe not like it anymore.
So maybe you do need to take a class and be like, oh, there's all these new people that I've never met, and they all do this, and now I can put myself in this new environment, and that will make me.
So how many tasks?
I want to keep this minimum, just a kind of a basic one, so just put down 1 or 2 for each of these 4 categories. Again, so maintenance, this is kind of like admin tasks, or just like chores around the house, or chores in your daily life.
What did you ask?
And then, so there's maintenance, physical, main job, creativity. So creativity could be like doing stuff with people, socializing.
Yeah.
Main job is obviously a main job, anything that's in your main job. Physical, again, to relate with Net's thing, or if it's just like exercising on a daily basis, or if it's just trying to just work out more, or if it's doing a certain exercise. And then again, maintenance is like the chores that you gotta do, the what's the word for it?
Sustain yourself.
Meditate, or go for a walk on the beach, or
We're talking tasks, not rewards.
or buy,
Yeah.
go to the market and
Tasks
get
associated with it.
Dishwashing.
dishwashing, go to the market, change your sheets.
Yeah, but what's the, I'm trying to remember the actual name for the, like, I have to go do, errands.
Yeah, so
Run my errands.
go to the market, do like all this like basic needs things, but it's annoying.
Yes.
Like I don't want to go to the market, so I order food. Cook.
Huh? Maintain, oh yeah, I forgot, M-A-I.
Maintain.
Because I checked.
Maintenance. Maintenance.
Maintenance.
Maintenance.
I like maintenance.
Maintenance.
Maintenance. And so just write down 1 or 2 inside of each of these. And then what we'll do is then we'll start to relate these activities to tasks that we are to rewarding ourselves with those.
Did you get that?
So then
Wanna
also,
go to the dentist?
for these, I want to mention that we have to put a score on them of a dislike level. How long it takes, how hard is it to do, and if you just dislike it or not, out of 100.
or how much I hate to do this.
Yes.
Okay.
100 being most hated.
Yes.
Ah, you don't.
Again, these could be daily, weekly, or monthly type of things. So after you've gotten 2 or 1 out of each of these categories, and then you assign a dislike level out of 100. Again, 100 is really dislike, but anything, it's a mix of.
What if?
Yeah.
Sorry. What if I dislike doing it, but I like the result of doing it? Like after I did it, I'm like, oh, this is nice. But doing it, it's just annoying stuff.
Well, then that's already rewarding in itself. So I wouldn't put that down.
Really?
Yeah.
Folding my clothes, I fucking hate it. But when I do it, after I do it, it's nice.
Well, that's already the reward. It's just that it's organized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We take a different approach.
That's essentially.
So don't write it down.
Yeah.
But it's maintenance.
Well.
Sometimes I can be weeks with my clothes on the sofa next to me, next to my bed, and it's like just
Okay.
laying there.
Then write it down.
Like on busy. Okay, I love it. I need them. He's like, oh, I'm right. I love it.
Yeah.
If you like to, if you get the reward after, then you can just double motivate yourself through different reward externally. Creativity, yeah. So then, after you do that, I want to give you information for this type of system here that I've kind of created, is that there's 2 levels for rewards. Extravagant rewards and then immediate rewards. Anything that is extravagant is for things that are 70 points and above. Like a score of 70. And these are the things that you'll basically give yourself reward for later on. They're like the extravagant rewards. And so, what I would like you to do then is you're going to now separate it into 2 different areas of rewards. And you would have, so the extravagant ones, the ones that you would reward yourself long term, and then immediately. Okay? And then there's 5 categories, I would say, for how you can reward yourself. Spending money, your leisure activities, exciting activities, time away, and then hobbies. Is there anything else I'm missing, do you think?
Again?
What is this?
So I'll write it down again. So you're spending,
Money.
yep. Leisure,
What's leisure?
Pleasure.
pleasure,
For fun, hobbies.
fun, for relaxing.
Massage.
Not all kinds of pleasure.
Okay. And keep in mind, try to help these be healthy and rewards. Time away and then hobbies. So this is what I assume is that you could categorize all different types of rewards. This is what I assume that would be kind of put together for all the different types of rewards that you could give yourself.
I kind of forgot. Like, what's the? Okay, I got all these things, but why did I write this?
Yeah. So
So it's been a lot. It's been a lot. So
Yeah,
my brain
it
is a bit.
no worries. So this is just because when you're, again, this is have to do with the categories here. When you're trying to really focus in on this area, and then you don't experience any rewards, it's within that, like Guy just explained here. You expect things to be linear of this reward of the growth of yourself. However, it's a compound effect, and inside there it's all this time where you feel like you want to quit and it sucks, and so you have to fill those gaps in with rewards inside of those gaps.
So you don't
Okay, but what-
Celebrating what you've worked on. It's essentially, I mean, it could be for your internal growth, but when it comes down to it, I mean, there's also, those are the type of maintenance tasks, but when it comes down to it, it's like, it's not like you're gonna be the faster folder, and there's not like a competition for like master
Yeah,
folding
right.
your clothes or something, you know?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a competition.
I could do myself.
But I would,
There's a lot of
I would
species.
miserably.
Look like
I don't know where
Right.
people.
Right.
getting
But then
accepted.
you told me to write how much I don't like to do it,
Yes.
I hate it.
and then
But what's the long-term benefit of me folding clothes?
organizing, having an organized.
You get to be looked at through people, like they look at you in a way that's like, oh wow,
He's organized.
Look at this folder. How it folds.
No,
Look
it's
at his
just
wardrobe.
It's not the
Wow.
actual act of folding it. It's what happens through everything else that you do. Because when you do the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And so the presentation of your clothes as well, it's not going to be wrinkled.
Yes, and your mind.
Yeah,
It's
your also
presentation
mind's
of
clear as well.
But then on the physical level, for example, like what do I need to write? Do I need to write things I don't like to do on a physical level?
Yeah, the tasks that are annoying but necessary.
Another thing, I want you to benefit, for example, folding your clothes or whatever, less dishes. I don't like doing it, but for me, it's my way to collect my thoughts, plan things, because I'm not distracted by anything else. Sure, my physical mind attention is on the task, but my mind is working, planning things. That's my way of, in a way, collecting my thoughts and planning my day and planning my next move. That's my way, for example.
I prefer to swim in the beach.
Yeah, or even under the water, yes, absolutely.
There you go. That's a leisure reward.
Swimming in the beach.
So what if I'm already doing
It's not-
That's my only positive thing with someone.
So it's just assigning the actual activity, the task, to knowing that this is the reward that I'm
Okay.
giving myself. Because that's the thing, we do a lot of these rewards already, but that's where we have to actually know that this is the stuff that I've done, and I have to link this hard stuff that I've done with this specific reward. We have to acknowledge that and actually specifically say, okay, this is what I've done. My gosh, that was so
you
fucking
like
hard.
link it?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
So basically what I do is to take the stuff that I don't like and I say, okay, every X amount of times that I get my folding clothes, I'm gonna go to swim at the beach, for example.
Sure, yeah. But the thing is, like with something small like this, it's really like pointless. I'm just giving you this system so that way you can do it for the other things that you're trying to do in your life. The small things like that, it's like you can, if you really wanted to, put an external reward on that, and or just like a different type of reward on that. That would be just something immediate though, because it's not like it's a really important thing. It's also, I mean, net, is it above a 70 for this annoying but necessary?
What? Folding my clothes?
Yeah.
Man, I hate
I wrote 80.
Oh my god.
I wrote 80.
Why?
Okay.
Okay.
Well then, you can still put that in the immediate.
It's just that I noticed that I get lazy when
Right.
it comes to those things. I get lazy. I'm like, oh god, I can't do it.
But also the reason you get lazy is because you don't see any benefit out of it.
No, I see benefit.
Really?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Like, I really believe that when my room is organized, my brain is
Yeah,
more organized.
100%.
you
Right.
know?
That's true. When your
So
house.
if I go into my room and it's all fucking everywhere, and I'm like, wow. But then I feel like I have better things to do than
Right,
folding
right,
my
right.
clothes.
Yeah,
A lot
so
of
the
the time.
rewards is not actually meaningful enough.
It's not meaningful enough, but after I do it, I'm like, oh, this.
Right.
Like it's a nice reward, but it's not
Like,
on my
I'll tell you
highest
something,
priority.
it's the kind of things that you only understand the reward, because I'll tell you something, I'm the same like you, man, I can live in because I'm like very unorganized in my mind sometimes, so also my life sometimes can be very unorganized, but the feeling of a clean room,
Yeah.
a clean house, is a clean mind.
It's zen.
It's zen, it's
Yes,
true.
it is. Yeah.
But it takes me a lot of energy to start. Once I start the cleaning,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yes,
All
you have
I
to
need to
make
do
the
is
first
just
step.
to pick the first stock. That's
Right.
it. And it's done.
Right.
The house is clean. But to pick the first stock feels like
It will
hell.
take a week.
It will take
You
a
will
week.
walk to next to that, so you'll be like, I should do this.
Yeah,
And you just
every
like-
time, exactly.
And then you just
I
go
will
keep
punish
going,
myself
like-
I'll
every
just
time.
do it later.
Yeah, it's true. I'm always the same.
Yeah.
I think
we're all
I
have
s-
those periods.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Like no one, except if you are like obsessed with cleaning.
I s-
No, so
I
there
say-
was,
I
it
say
used to be
80.
a long time that I just had a cleaner because I could not deal
Right.
with this 2 times
And that's
a week.
fine too.
That's
That's
perfect.
fine.
That's the best in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I
I
said-
get all the reward without doing the work.
Right.
That's all I need.
Exactly. So I said 80 not because it's like so annoying. And it's not great, but like it takes time for me to do it. That's it.
I see.
Sometimes I'll do it in the spot, like it just comes from the basket to my wardrobe.
Which is the best because that's the least amount of effort.
Right. And this amount of suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well then.
But then you don't get the pick of, oh my god, look at the clean house. You just clean all the time.
But then I'm
You do
very
it
proud of
for-
myself that I did it straight
Because
away.
that's like where it has to do with like, is there enough pain there for you to change? And that's like, it has to do with this. Is there enough pain in your own head for the, and you seeing
There's
in
not
your
enough
room?
pain. Not enough pain.
Right. But then
Definitely.
at the same
Dentist,
time, you can
100%
reward yourself
pain.
for if okay, the requirement for this reward is for me to do it as soon as I get a new stack of laundry instead of putting it off. And if you complete that reward, if you complete that, like that requirement, then you get to reward yourself with a different thing.
New boxes. New pair of boxes.
Boxers, yeah.
More laundry to fold.
You don't need to put boxers. You don't need to put boxers. You just put them like this.
Throw it away.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But that's like where it comes down to it, because that is not like super. The reward that you give yourself for this is not going to be the same reward that you give yourself for doing a certain amount of performances every week.
Right.
Doing that, yes, there's the money, but then there's
Buy a
also
car.
there's
The money's not a reward, it's a result.
yes, but then the reward that you get, it needs to be internal. It needs to be the internal rewards of like,
buy a new guitar.
yeah.
That's internal or external?
Well, that's that.
I don't know, I
It's
think
internal
you are
and
getting yours like.
it's
Make-
internal and
Yeah,
external
dreams
at the same time because you are gifting yourself with spending your money that you've worked hard for. That's you. It's basically the energy
But
transfer,
your
right?
soul is gonna be.
Yeah, your soul will be very happy because you are like, wow,
I just got a new pedal. I ordered a Lazada.
amazing.
Waiting for it to arrive.
But this is the whole thing. There has to be requirements for you to actually achieve these rewards. And so after you know the reward, you know the requirement for the reward, what is the category for it, and then how often are you going to reward yourself for this? It has to be similar to the task currents, right?
Mhm.
Or somewhat.
Like if one task is 80, you reward yourself 80. If one task is 15, then you new boxes.
So then if the task is like a weekly thing that you do, then you will also would probably reward yourself weekly.
Right.
But also, this is one thing that I want to keep in mind with you guys. When you create rewards for yourself, you cannot always reward yourself, because that actually it has to be sometimes. It cannot be all the time. So if maybe there's a gap between the two. Thanks for coming. So I just wanted to give you that kind of layout though. And I have a whole template on Excel as well for actually doing this. I just put this together. I was like, I really want to do this for myself too. And that is inside of the online community for this place. You guys can all join that after as well. Just text me about that. And this is where we get the understanding for spending, measure, exciting. There's all these different templates in the reward system. So you guys can have that after. And yeah, so I know we also have already gone out because the way that we also need to track that is very important. And understanding how often you'll reward that. Every day, week, month, and then keeping track of it to understand. But what Soon brought up earlier was actually associating the tasks with the rewards. That's the most important thing. Because even if I were to say like I'm gonna go on an adventure, I'm gonna go to the beach, that's something that I really like to do. But to not associate it with a specific task that I've done throughout the week, then it makes it like, okay, it's just a thing that I do. It would be better.
How would you associate it though? That's my question.
It's just literally
I
saying,
can't go to the beach unless I'm all
Only
in my
if I
clothes.
do this, I
Yes.
can go to the.
Yeah.
or it's like because I did this, then I get to go do that.
I'm not gonna go so far in my clothes already.
But it would be better.
Is it, if you do that in a negative sense like that, is that bad? If you say, I can't go surfing unless
Because I
I'm all in
didn't
my
know what
clothes.
Said being
If that
wrong,
works
yeah.
for you, man.
It's
No,
a,
I mean,
it's a
I never
reward,
did
but it's
before.
also
Like that,
the,
I'm just gonna fuck that.
And that's like where we actually get a little bit of motivation motivation because we have, like, it's a requirement. It's a way to self-bind yourself. And that's, if you really are trying to get stuff done and be accountable for yourself, that's the exact way to do it.
It's nice.
Yeah, because like, yeah, it's very, very helpful when you can have that. But then at the same time, for these rewards, try to make sure that what you do for them is like extravagant, but not necessarily something you do all the time. It's like something that's kind of like unique. That would make it even more beneficial for the stuff. It's like something you only gift yourself, and you don't do it very often. That would make it even better. So, yeah, we kind of talked about a lot today. So I know that you guys are probably also just everywhere. But I just wanted to give you this really quick before we go because I thought this was really, really helpful. And if you didn't fully get it, we can talk about it after. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today, guys.
Woo!
Thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming.
man. Thank you.
Yeah. Donations to rent this space, it requires some sort of donation. So please just put it in the blue box there. That'd be really, really helpful to just keep this going and to also pay Kirill, the studio owner. And yeah, so if you guys wanted to join the community online, I can just give you in there. It's also just a place where we create discussions and talk about all this type of stuff, but in an online format. Also really helpful as well. And yeah,
Thank you, Sam.
thanks for coming.
You Sam, you're the best.
Sam, you're on school, right?
Yeah.
You know what? I did an illustration for Sam Hobbins.
For what?
For Sam Hobbins.
Really?
Yeah, for school.
Really?
Yeah, they had my illustration when they first started.
Wow.
And they changed it once they got all the platform or like meetings. Now the homepage is like full of different meeting links.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow.
So that's how I found out about school. Yeah, I didn't know about it, but he reached out to me and then talked about the illustration for this new thing. And I saw that you were on the platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I love the place. It's
Yeah, it's really cool.
Days ago?
Yes,